don't think I'm live yet. All right, it says I'm on, but oh wait, there we go. Okay, the chat window just popped up. Hey, welcome. Good evening. How's it going? I'm looking for a tabletop role-playing game system for Landon. I was going to jump on here and, well, let's see if I can keep my attention focused. I might go through the Wild Sea system. I got sent a PDF. I am live. Okay, all right. Sound is good. Good to hear. I got a PDF of the Wild Sea game from the developers, and I've been interested in going through it. So I feel like my voice is scratchier than normal. How are you doing, Scott? How have things been? Where was I going? Email. All right, email, and I'm looking for Wild Sea. Been a pretty good week for me. I got to take a look at 3 different systems. Yeah, Wild Seas looked pretty cool. I mean, it has an interesting, I don't know, interesting aesthetic to it. I'm glad to hear things are going well for you, Scott. You been up to anything specific? You finished a 3-day bike trip to New York. Well, where do you live, Scott? Like, so I get an idea of how far you went and where you went to. Wild Sea. Right. That's right, I already saved all of these. What am I doing? What do you do when you're on a 3-day bike trip? Like, you live in Philly, okay? So does that mean you're like camping places? Like you're camping out, or do you stop in hotels or hostels or something like that on the way? And how long each day are you riding? It's like 3 days. That sounds pretty intense. All right, there's Wild Sea singles. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I got a chance to look at 3 new systems this week. I got to play 2 games of Morkborg, or the Morkborg Pirate, and then I got to learn Savage World from a guy named Gary, and then had a chance to play Dragonbane. So that was fun. It's good looking at a few different systems. You go to Airbnbs, and then you bike all over the city. Interesting. 12 hours a day. Oh my goodness, that's got to be exhausting. How long did you have to train to do that? That sounds like it'd be really hard. I also enjoy biking, but I don't do anything close to 12-hour days. I think the longest I've gone on a bike ride is like maybe 2.5 hours. So you have breaks, and you see there are breaks when you move your bike. Oh, okay, when you get your bike and you going over the ferry. Okay, I get you. To different parts of the city. Are there a lot of water breaks going around? Oh, that sounds like a fun adventure. Did you go with other people? Like, did you have like a troop of, like a caravan of folks? I'm going to switch this over to Jacob. All right, let's see. There we go. You've been riding for 10 years. That's pretty impressive. You do these long trips every 3 months. Wow. By yourself. I'm impressed. Very impressed. That's a cool thing. Riding for 12 hours for 3 days, that sounds pretty aggressive. I would agree that you ride pretty aggressively. as I'm looking through this system, I'm getting the sense that this may not be the best way to do this. I'm probably gonna just be glazing over too many things. It does have a really good cover art. I mean, that's part of the thing, is like I really like the aesthetic of it. It has a unique look and setting. How's it going, Nightbird? Thank you for popping by to say hi. Have you had a chance to play this system, Scott? I have only just started looking at it, although there's someone who's in the comments of my videos that's just been swearing by this system and this game for the longest time. And so they kept, telling me, hey, you got to play WildSea. You got to play WildSea. I should try it. And so I finally reached out to MythWorks. I was like, hey, gotta get a copy of your game to look at, because like I don't know if I'm gonna be playing it or not. And they were really kind. They were like, first they responded back like super quick, and they were like, yo, here's a PDF, and it was just like right away. And it was for like 2 different games too, so that was really nice. So I have more to look at than just WildSea. Not much to like about it. Or sorry, there's not much like it. Okay, not much like it. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Like, it's like airships and weird creatures and stuff. You're reading through it. Okay. Critics' darling. I hear that, like, when it comes to video games a lot. I've never really gotten a sense for what a critic's darling would be in a tabletop role-playing game, because I guess I don't know them that well. But I know in video games, it's like Celeste or something, or okay, now I can't think of any of the other ones, but like the Steam World games or something. They're like those indie darlings or whatever. So you're saying that this one is something that the critics are really happy about. That's interesting. Okay, you read it cover to cover and you loved it. Would this be a system that you would play? Like, I know, I get the sense that you like Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, like it might be one of your favorite systems. Would you play WildSea instead of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? See? But you could not find a table of players. Oh my goodness. Interesting. So when you're finding groups of people to play like a tabletop role-playing game with, are you mostly only finding people who are interested in Dungeons & Dragons like 5th edition? I get that I'm fairly certain it's the most popular of the game systems. At least that's the sense I've gotten. All right, so mechanics, setting, okay, some waves, wild sailors, travel, danger at sea, civilization, post-verdant culture. Yeah, that's what you mentioned. You mentioned verdant, and I didn't know what that meant at the time. The stuff they did. Oh, the stuff that did really well at the Ennies, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I guess Ennies, like Ennies award-winning things that would make sense for being like critic darlings. Let's see. Mostly local and physical table. So yes, D&D is king. That makes sense. Scott, when you play, do you play online or do you play like physical in store with people or at your house or something? Hey Gary, how's it going? Hey Gary, I was just talking about, I got a chance to go through Savage Worlds today, and so I picked up the kids from school and was talking about the system and explaining to them like the different things, and they both got really excited. And so when we came home, my son was interested in trying to make Hulk. Like, he was like, I want to make Hulk. And I was like, oh, okay, like, you want to like really make Hulk? And he's like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm not quite ready for that. So I have a job for you, Gary. We got to find some time this next coming week, and we got to sit down, and you got to help me go through the superhero bundle, or the superhero, oh my goodness, what's it called? Book. That's the only word I can think of. A compendium or something, because my son wants to make the Hulk, and I think Landon wanted to make Mr. Fantastic. At least he wanted to make Mr. Fantastic until I made fun of Mr. Fantastic. And I was like, Mr. Fantastic's like the worst of all of the Marvel superheroes. Like, he has no power. And then we got distracted from there. But I was like, okay, so they're both ready to make characters, they were actually both ready to play, but I was like, I'm not ready. So, let's see, the forest or the sea. Yeah, that's the idea I get, that like you're sailing a ship across the trees or whatever. Like that's really interesting. The ship's right on top of trees. 80% physical. Okay, wow. 80% physical table campaigns, and then 20 online. So, so Scott, I had my first online game this week, and like it worked fine. Like we didn't have any like jerks at our virtual table or whatever, but it was very difficult to engage. Because people are talking over each other by accident sometimes, and then it's hard to tell if you should talk or if you shouldn't talk or whatever. So there was that whole thing, and then there was like Discord, like kept disconnecting, and then people's audio would go out, and then there was echoes. And it's like, like the game was fine, but the Discord thing was just plaguing us the whole time. And so my thought was like, is this what people are dealing with all the time that they're playing, like D&D or games online? Like, when people are playing the tabletop games online, are they having to deal with Discord? Because the thought I had while we were doing it was like, I don't think I would ever enjoy dungeon mastering online. And that was something I even talked with Dinko, the guy who was running the Mork board game with me. I was asking him like, hey, like, are you able to get yourself psyched up for this? Because I don't think I could get jazzed about doing a tabletop game on the computer. There's something about that moment when your players are coming in your house, people are getting their snacks. I'm still drawing up the map and putting miniatures out, whatever. And like I start getting excited. I get excited for what my players are going to do, what the campaign might do, how they're going to engage with whatever they're going to do. And like, yeah, I don't know if I can replace that with online. So yeah, that was the thought I had about online games. So like if 20% of your games are online, it's like, I don't know, how do those go for you? How does that work? Let's see, not sure what sort of things you're looking for here for Landon's family, but you recommend looking up goblin errands. I will look up goblin errands. Should I look up goblin errands on drive-through RPG? Goblin errands. Okay. Okay. So Shark Bomb Studios, Goblin Errands by Shark Bomb Studios, itch.io. All right. Goblin Errands. Okay, that's cute. That looks cute. Wow, this is already okay. Here we go. Drive-through RPG. Goblin Errands. Goblin Errands. Let's see. Just the cover art says a lot about how much fun that's likely to be. Okay, no, I think you got the right idea here. This is so okay. So as I was mentioning to Gary, Gary told me how to play this game. Like we went through a bunch of the stuff, which was really helpful because it gave me an understanding of like what kind of game system and setting and power play and all that stuff you would do in the game. And as we were exploring it, wheels in the head turning, and I'm like, oh, maybe this would work well for Landon's family. As we started making characters and kind of explaining the system, he got the idea like, this might be too much for my sister and probably definitely too much for my mom to handle, which was a bummer, but I was still excited that both my son and Landon were interested in just starting up characters. Like they wanted to make superheroes like right away. So that was cool. But it might not be the game for Landon's family because his sister's pretty young and, like maybe whimsical in her interests, and mom is like not a heavy gamer. So yeah, Goblin Errands might be exactly what we're looking for. And okay, Gary, I would love to do a session. That would be great. I already talked with them about it, and they both seem pretty interested. Satori, how's it going? Good evening. Let's see. So Discord seems to work pretty well on computer. See, oh no, you know what? To be fair, no, I wasn't using it on computer. I haven't. So I have like you can't see it here, but I have a Go XLR. When I set up this whole like streamings thing, I go in a little bit nuts. So like I got some things I never have used. So I have like a Go XLR and I have like a Stream Deck. And at some point in the future, since I'm enjoying streaming, this is fun. I need to take the time to actually work on this. Like I need to hook up my sound from Discord because like right now I go into Discord and I'm like, there's no sound. I don't know how to make so I have to like go watch a Harris Heller video and have him teach me how to set up my stream. I'm way behind. Yeah, so I've been using iPad for Discord. I don't think I'm the one who's been having problems, but of course we are playing with some people. Like one of the people we were playing with was in Croatia, one was in Ireland, and I don't even know where the other people were. So maybe it was a distance thing. For you, let's see. For you online is Google Slides for the visuals and everyone on a literal combined phone call. Interesting. All on cell phones. You're the only person you have ever met that does it that way. As you're describing it, I'm like, you might be the only person that does that. I mean, I think I get it. Like that makes sense because like if your internet gets fuzzy or whatever, you still are on your cellular and I'm guessing you're not doing video calls for it, so it's just audio. You don't have to worry about that. That makes sense. Okay. No question. Physical table is better for most things. Online is better for scheduling. No, that makes you. I think you nailed it right there. It's the issue. Yeah. Content surprise. Nope. You're not late this time. How's it going? Online's definitely different. Still fun with the right group, but it has a little different feel to it. I can totally understand that little different feel to it. That's kind of I think that's a little bit what I noticed while I was playing the Mork board game. Again, I had fun. It was a fun game. It was fun to engage, and I played 2 sessions, and each time I had like the chance to kind of get into my character and play and stuff. But there's something about it being like not connected. Like the social aspect of it seems so. The social aspect of it seems so like filtered or something, right? Like there's something between everyone, and like being at the table, you can like look at someone's face and kind of tell whether they're engaged or not, or they're interested, and it's so different. All right, let's see. Goblin errands. So, question about this Nightbird I'm pretty sure it was you that recommended this one. Yeah. Okay. So Nightbird, do you know if this is something I can get in a physical copy? I've never done the physical copy thing before. So, I mean, I know that Landon has an iPad and he can get this thing running on there. Let's see. X Nova is a playable city generator. So, that's other Shark Bomb things. Okay. So, all right. Goblin Errands is a no prep RPG for 2 to 5 goblins and 1 tall person. Together, you'll go on a comic misadventure, trying to complete seemingly mundane tasks as you struggle with the world not designed for you. You've just joined a new family of goblins and determined to prove yourself. Okay, yeah, so the premise of it, a 41-page rule book, random generator for your goblin community. Okay, this is great because, I mean, I was planning on getting him a tabletop war game, which is like generally like $100. So I could get him this, plus I could get him Dragonbane. This is a great one. I'm going to add this to my list, but I don't actually have my account on here. So let me get my iPad out because it remembers all my passwords for me. And I'm that person. Let's see, I want Drive-Through RPG. There we go. And I want to look up Goblin Errands. Goblin Errands, yes. Add it to my cart. Thank you so much. Great recommendation. I think that's. I mean, I'll look through it a little more intensively, but I think that's probably the type of thing that I think would be good to help their family like kind of get the ball rolling on it. People kept recommending like, hey, Dragonbane. I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, like, okay, Dragonbane. His dad will continue to play Dragonbane. Steven was into it and he wanted to play it more. Landon will love to play Dragonbane. I don't like get the read from that game system, from the Dragonbane system, that it's a game that, like a lot of the crunchy mechanical stuff in that game seems to be aimed at the destruction of goblins and monsters. Like it's kind of like, The Witcher in a game form. Obviously there can be negotiation, you can run your own flavor of the world, but Dragonbane seems to me to be a system where if you weren't running like cool combat encounters while you're running across treetops or, having a fight on like a moving ship or something, you'd kind of be missing out on like the fun crunchiness of that game. Like the fun crunchiness of that game is just rolling a massive hit on a monster and taking their knee out or something. So anyway, so I was thinking maybe like Tales of the Loop. It's either of or from. I was thinking of the Tales on the Loop game. Because it's cutesy and not too complicated. This is also a good addition. So like maybe that's what I'll do. I'm gonna get like this game, Tales of the Loop and Dragonbane, and like then it'll give him a little gamut, or it'll give him a wide array of things to go with. Let's see, online is definitely different. Okay, congratulations on the new video. Okay, so thank you so much for all your comments and watching it. I appreciate it. Like, it was generally when I make a video like that and I run like 30 minutes, like my mind's like, oh, it's too long. If I go back, like anytime I make a video, I watch it before I upload it. And if I get bored and I can't sit through my own video, then it's like, no, I can't upload this. And that's happened a lot of times. Like, that's happened. I watch the thing and I'm like, I'm okay, it's too long. So thank you. And I was surprised that long content did well. So I walk in and we get goblin arrows. It was okay. So I'm not done yet. I'm still okay. So here are the here. I'll just go through the things that were like at the top of my list. Okay, I had like 5 games that were at the top of my list. I'm pretty sure it's 5. Tales of the Loop. I think it's Tales from the Loop. Tales from the Loop. Dolemwood. His mom, Landon's mom, likes Harry Potter. And so I figured like, fantasy, mythology world. It's a game where like the setting is kind of built into the game a lot. There's like a hex crawl that's sort of important and stuff. So Tales from the Loop, Dolemwood, Dragonbane, because I know he and his dad like it, but it's kind of, it's like, I don't think it's the game that his mom and his sister would like. So it's like lesser. Hold on. Old School Essentials, because like Dolemwood means I have to order it from the site and maybe it takes a while to get here. Old School Essentials, people keep recommending to me, and it's supposed to be pretty easy to get into. And I could just get him like the little box set from the game store. They have it there. Dungeon Crawl Classics. That's another one that was close to the top of my list. People talk about that system. And then obviously I can just give him the PDF for Basic Fantasy, which is on TTRPG. I would prefer to give him physical books if it's possible. So, I mean, I might look up this one and see if there's any other stores that carry this one. But, I think giving him a few different games is probably going to be the thing that helps him and his family get their game group going. In the back of my mind, I'm secretly terrified that his family gets a game group going on Saturdays and then he doesn't come to our game anymore. I would be so sad. I mean, really would. I love having this kid come over and play in our group, and we stay up late, and then they get to have a sleepover. So I'd be sad if that happened, but it's their family thing. So let's see. It's like everything else. As long as you understand the strength and weaknesses for any format of play, you can have a good time. So my son and I got talking today about like system versus setting. Since I'm not using the desktop right now, I'll go back to just the camera. So we got talking about like system versus setting, and it wasn't like an argument, but it was like loaded with opinions, because I'm like, I think for me, setting goes above system. I think when I'm looking at a game system, I'm probably going to consider the setting a little higher than system. Now, granted, obviously you can take a bad system, and I've found that I don't like some systems in particular. I like systems with like a little bit of crunch. I like systems that aren't too complicated, but they can also run quickly. But I would forego crunch for expediency. I would forego crunch for my players doing things intuitively in the world. And so obviously, since I'm willing to play Shadow Dark, which has like almost no system, I mean, it doesn't have no system, but it has a very minimal system. It's threadbare in places. Since I'm okay with Shadow Dark and I prefer it over D&D, I think for me, I made the determination, okay, I must actually like setting more than system. And that's why I think I started posing it as a question to people. I might even like make like a video about it. Although I made a video asking if anyone knew of a system where the mechanics were built into the setting. And so far, I haven't had anyone tell me anything like a clear, like, yes, this game. Someone mentioned a few different games that work that way, but let's see. A fact is it's a download, and take it to Kinko's thing. Yeah. I'm okay with that. That's what I've done with a bunch of my game systems. I didn't bring any of them up here, but like my Shadow Dark book is like, it's just massive. Let's see. Yeah, real tables are better. Totally agree. There's going to be okay. So apparently there's going to be a physical edition. That's cool. Is this like a recent review or sorry, a recent release? Oh wait, let's see. No, it's been a couple years old. Added to the catalog in 2021. Okay. Let's see. Tales from the Loop Spectacular Art Starter Box has full scope. Could keep it simple. Let's see. Tough sell for kids though because it's 80s nostalgic. You know, I thought of that too, but their family watched Stranger Things. I think they even watched all 3 seasons, and I think they liked it. You know, so. Stranger Things is kind of like, I don't want to say it is the Stranger Things game, but there's like a lot of similar story themes or something. So at least in the first season, I think I watched the second season, but I never watched anything past that. Let's see. Tales from Luke. Okay, 80s art. Okay. The joke is because your SD game is all Goblin PCs, yet I'm that guy. That's right. Okay, so quite a few videos ago, you mentioned something about your game being all Goblin, and I wanted to ask you more questions about that, and then I forgot to check back to see if you responded. So you're playing a Shadow Dark game where all of your players are goblins? And then more than that, are you playing a Shadow Dark game where you are playing as goblins in a world of only goblins? Like it's just an only goblin game? Tell me about it. I got questions. Yeah, I want to know about that. Let's see. If you play BX, OSE is BX with better organization. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, and I've thought about just going and picking up OSE for myself just to go through it. Like I enjoyed what I saw of basic fantasy role playing, which I think was the 4th edition I looked at, and you know I didn't get so far as to get into the spells. I just was going through the character classes, and I liked it. I liked the character classes. The fact that it's totally free is also like hard to argue with that. But you know, again, if my consideration is, I think setting is more important than system. I know not everyone thinks that. Like I think some people are obviously more interested in system than setting. Must be the case. But for me, if setting is more important, then I'm like, I think I should try and find the setting for Landon's mom and sister, and maybe dad will follow along with it. So let's see. Knave is very easy and flexible, and it might be good. That might be good too. I have Knave. I've enjoyed Knave, and you know what I would probably do is just and I've even thought about that. Like maybe I would just get a couple different small systems and let him go through and choose what he likes. This is a good start as well. Index card RPG is very good, better than OSE DCC. Interesting. So I've looked at the OS card RPG, but since I didn't know very much about it, when I went on Amazon, because that's like the only place I could find it for some reason, when I went on Amazon, it was a book. And I was totally confused because I was like, index card RPG should obviously be like a box with index cards. And so I just didn't order it. And I've left it not ordered in my cart for a while because I assumed I must be misunderstanding something, until eventually later I found out that it's like a game that teaches you how to make index cards for RPGs or something like that. So since I don't really understand how index card RPG works, I haven't pulled the trigger on buying it yet, you know, because it's like 40 or 50 bucks, and it's like I have a bunch of other systems I'm going through. And people keep talking about it. People keep saying like index card RPG is great. So index card RPG is good for the amount of advanced prep you don't do. Interesting. One session you do a lot of scribbling and doodling on index cards. Interesting. Okay. Index card RPG is actually your vehicle for converting everything else to Shadow Dark. Oh my goodness, you gotta tell me more about that. What do you mean? How does that sounds like magic or something. You mean like you take a different, okay, so for example, you could use Index card RPG to turn Waking of Willoughby Halls into Shadow Dark, or you could take like I don't know, you could take the Dragon Wrath dungeon, what is it? Dragon Treasure Heist, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. There we go. You could take Waterdeep Dragon Heist and turn it into Shadow Dark. Is that am I understanding that correct? Let's see. Why not run Harry Potter direct with D&D 5e or OSE? Why run Harry Potter? Run Harry Potter like. You ran 3 sessions, 3-session arc of Harry Potter with index card RPG, and it went well. Okay, so Scott, is there a Harry Potter like campaign? Like, is there a Harry Potter book or system? Because I mean, if there's a Harry Potter book or system, like I know there's an Avatar one, and I know there's a bunch of different franchises. I think I've seen a Transformers one and a My Little Pony one. I think there's even a Stranger Things one. I think it's like Stranger Things, and you're playing as a Stranger Things kid playing D&D. I don't know. It's like some kind of meta thing. Anyways, if that's a thing, if there's a Harry Potter one, yeah, I'd probably be interested in looking at that for them. Otherwise, someone mentioned Heart and Spire, and I had also heard a little bit about Heart and Spire from the nerd at my board game store. Like, he was talking about it, and he was like, this game is amazing, it's so much fun. And, you know, since he's a nerd who works at my board game store, I assume he's correct about this type of stuff. Like, they like, the guys at my game store, they like Delta Green, the Heart and the Spire game. What was the other one that they're playing? Oh, Alien RPG. There's one other one that they're playing that I was like, I hadn't heard of it, don't know anything about it. Let's see. Yeah, settings are usually tied to systems. You think the only time systems are tied to settings is when it's a franchise like Star Wars RPGs. Interesting. Hold on, let me read that again. Settings are usually tied to systems. Okay, yeah, I got that. I think the only times systems are tied to settings, systems being tied to settings. Okay, I think I get what you're saying, and so one of the things I've noticed looking at tabletop RPGs is I noticed there's a lot of games where the classes and maybe the race systems are very much sculpted into the setting, or in some of them they're more sculpted into the setting than others. But oftentimes you'll get a game where once you get past races and classes, you get into like all the powers, the feats, the maneuvers, the abilities, and a lot of that could just be reflavored to be anything else. And like, we're no longer in the setting anymore. Even Dragonbane. Dragonbane is like a perfect example of this. Like, this is obviously a setting-based game. You know, there's like duck people and whatever. Someone mentioned that I probably should play this in the actual setting because I was mistaken. It's not Conan, and it's actually very interesting. And I just didn't really pay much attention to the setting section. I skipped right past this to the start playing, and I began reading from there. You know, and then I read through some of the character stuff and how to build a character, and then, you know, and then I just went through it with my players. But this game could easily be reflavored into anything else. You know, we could take the same character sheets from Dragonbane, and instead of like sling or bow skills, it could be laser pistol and blaster rifle skills, and like it would work fine. And it would also be a very fun game in like a sci-fi setting. I think that Free League should capitalize on this system because I really like this system. I thought it was very easy to jump in and just start playing. And I thought it was a very easy system for a DM to DM. And I mentioned all those things. We didn't even really look at the magic that much since none of my characters were playing magic, so I didn't get mixed up in the spells or whatnot. But I did have a chance to look at how spellcasting works, and I think the system is also very simple. It feels like a Final Fantasy game where you're basically using mana points to cast spells. Super easy. So like I think they should make that into a sci-fi setting. That'd be great. But I think I get what you're saying about system and setting connections. Like, yeah, of course, if you get into like the Star Wars or Lord of the Rings game, there might be like, I don't know, whatever's significant to those worlds, and you're going to find characters locked into that idea, that franchise. Oddly enough, there actually was a Tales of the Loop television show. No way. It did terribly. It was very hard to watch. You know what? That sounds familiar. I may have seen a trailer a while ago or something. Maybe when I first started looking up Tales of the Loop. But I totally forgot about that. I never watched it, of course. Bummer. Let's see. Knave is a banger. I really like in the Knave book. I think it's Knave. I don't think it's the Dungeon Rats one, but in the Knave book, they have this section where you can custom make a spell. And my son and I did that a little bit, like where you roll like a D20, then you roll a D12, then you roll a D8, then you roll a bunch of different numbers, and you basically what you're doing is you're putting together a few like a few nouns, and then like an adjective, and then like an effect, and you end up coming out with a spell excuse me, I think one of the spells we came up with was like, I don't know, passive dreamwalker or something like that. And it was like, you have like this linguistic thing where like, now you have a spell and it's on you as the player or DM to figure out like, what does this spell do? You know, and I thought that was really cool because once we had the spell written up, there was like a whole bunch of different ways to interpret the usage of the spell. And I thought that was a really cool system. For people who want clearly defined spell functions, it would drive them nuts. Like it would not be satisfying. But for someone who's like looking for creative inspiration on spell magic, like it was cool. Let's see. I think Earth Dawn. Okay, I have only just heard about Earth Dawn, but I don't know anything about it. So if you want to tell me more about it, I like that. You think Earth Dawn works that way? Mechanics built into the setting, classes from the game. Let's see. That is to say, the classes from the game are real jobs and professions in this world. Okay. As they gain levels in the game, they get ranks in the real world. Okay, so let's look up Earth Dawn. Yeah, I've never heard of this. Earth Dawn. Did I spell that wrong? That looks spelled wrong. Well, I think it just doesn't like that I combine the two words together. Okay, so I have Denizens of Earth Dawn, the Player's Compendium. Let's see, wide. Nope. This one. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that looks like it's a player's book. Why is my mouse moving all slow? Game Master's Compendium. Let's look at the player's book. And let's go to preview. Is this an older book? Okay, 2005, or at least it was added to this site in 2005. All right, let's see. Earth Dawn Sample Fire Player's Compendium. Never heard of this one. Whoa! Okay. That's a fun thing that happens to me when I start going through a book. This is happening to me in Wild Sea just a little bit. Like when I get into the compendium of the game. So okay, so this might be okay. You might, all right. I am asking for this thing. Like, does this thing exist? And okay, this is a great example of how that thing might work. Like a system where the mechanics are integrated into the setting. And I think the thing, when I'm asking that question, I think the thing I'm not realizing is that probably means that the system is very dense, rules oriented. And it probably, I think, would have to be or something. So yeah, when I look at this, I'm like, oh, I don't even know where to start. There's so many different things. It's like, I know it's not like that daunting, but okay. So we have, let's see, there's blood magic, names, the horrors, the passions, distances and weights, time, action, adepts and discipline, character record sheets, steps and action dice. Oh, here we go. How it came to pass. Let's see if we can find the classes. Okay, here's the races: dwarves, elves, humans, obsidian men. Oh, like obsidian men. Okay, obsidian men, orcs, trolls, skrong. I don't know how to say that. Skrong. Okay, windlings. Are there classes? Let's take a look at the classes. Disciplines. Maybe that's a class. Let's see. No. All right. So this would take me some time to get through. Oh, there's more. Okay. Oh, because it was in the magic area. Okay. Talent descriptions. Oh, see, never mind. That's not magic. That's talents. Wow. We're still going. Oh my goodness. I could never play. Well, okay. It would be so hard for me to play this. There's just, I mean, like, okay, like it's not that I don't like reading systems. I mean, I'm doing it. It's just, I do like reading systems. I like to understand the systems, or at least to look through them to understand them. But there is something about like this that's daunting. Like this is something I would need to go watch someone do a playthrough or an explanation of the game. And once I saw them, like, which I think I was just talking with Gary about today. Like I haven't found a lot of channels that do that. Like I found Ben Milton's channel and he does a great job of like going through a book, but I haven't really found anyone who explains like, here's step by step, you play this game. There's a lot of that for tabletop war games, but not this. Not at least not that I found. Let me get back to here. Let's see. I lost track. Okay. Earth Dawn. So Cultist, this is an intense book. I'm just going to say, this is intense. A goblin game sounds fun. I agree, Gary. I think Landon's sister would particularly like that. And, it might be one that Dad has to, Steven has to just struggle through for a while. But until they get into playing something they all enjoy. Only Goblin PCs, okay, but weird multi-ethnic post-empire with politics and odd. Oh. What does odd describe? Is that like extra dimensional travel or characters from different worlds? That's an interesting way to describe your world setting. Index Card RPG is a terrible name. The creator regrets the name. Okay, that's good to know, I guess. That I'm not the only one who's kind of like thrown aback by it. Like I don't know what to do with it. Let me go back to there's Yennefer. Okay. Let's see, where'd we go? Okay, one that's really cool to look at is Cairn. I have Cairn. I like Cairn a lot. We got a chance to play test Cairn just in the combat, so I wouldn't say that we gave it a good run. But it was fun to see how quick the combat went around. This was before we started playing Shadow Dark, so my players were still going like, I attack, your character died. It was like, oh, okay. But it was easy to make the game. It reminded me a lot of Mouse Ritter. Like Mouse Ritter and Cairn, I was like, oh yeah, these are like the same game almost. You know what I mean? They're not, but like they're really similar. They're both inventory based systems with like a little template for your character, and you've got to like play the Diablo equipment game, you know, with inventory items. I thought that was like those systems are really good for kids. Cairn is probably a little more like, and Mouse Ritter's obviously like, hey, kids might like this, and Cairn is like anyone could like this. Although I have heard there are people playing Mouse Ritter games with like, I don't know, full adult game parties, and they're having a great time. I thought about, I was on the fence for like one whole week. I was on the fence. I was about ready to start prepping Mouse Ritter for my players. And there was this thing in my brain where I was like, my players are not going to take this game seriously. I need to play Shadow Dark instead. And it was this back and forth war of attrition. I don't even think I even started looking at the Shadow Dark book until like maybe 3 days before we started our campaign. And it was maybe it was a little longer. Maybe it was 4 days or something, but it was like last minute rush for me. All right, I'm way behind. This always happens. I keep getting way behind. All right, no Harry Potter. Nope. I went too far. Okay, regrets the name. Look at Cairn. Okay, Knave 2E feels like Cairn with Maze Rats random tables. Yeah, and I think I have all three of them. I definitely have Knave. You know what? I do have Maze Rats. I haven't looked through Maze Rats though. That's the one I started printing it, and my printer ran out of ink, and I didn't finish printing it. No, there is no Harry Potter RPG. You have to run it with another TTRPG system. Interesting. Okay. If you want to play Stranger Things the RPG, I've heard you should just play Kids on Bikes or Kids on Brooms or Harry Potter or the Harry Potter alternate. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. I was going to go to the game store sometime this week and take a look at a few of the different systems because I already had the thought to get Kids on Bikes. Someone recommended it or reminded me. I was like, that's right. That's a great system. I need to go just get that for him. Kids on Brooms. Kids on... Oh, come say hi. Are you putting Barkley? Want to come bring Barkley to come say hi? Kids on... Oh, let me see him. Oh, who's a good boy? Oh, hi. Who's a good boy? This is Barkley. Barkley is Riker's dog. And Barkley knows whenever Riker is sad. He knows when he's sick. And he likes to fight with Riker. Because Riker like runs up to him and just like smacks him. So he's like, oh, it's wrestle time. We're biting each other. So they have a fun time. Hey, you say hi? Oh, he's so sad. He knows it's bedtime. He's so sad.
He's gonna get cozy in bed.
Yeah, you're gonna okay. How was Sherlock Holmes?
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I realized he didn't kill himself.
But you know, at the end of the episode, he didn't kill himself.
Yeah,
okay.
I knew he wasn't.
So he got to the end of, was it season 3?
No,
season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah, they got to the end of season 2 of Sherlock, and they got to a point where like Watson is in the therapy thing, and I was in there talking with them for a minute, and they had it paused, and I was like, oh, that's a bummer, isn't it? He's like, well, yeah, but he's not dead though. There's going to be like a season 3 and 4. I'm like, yeah, it's with Watson, and he's just like depressed the whole time and learning how to solve crimes. And like his face was like, Like he just went down, and I was like, I couldn't let it go. I was like, no, he's fine, he's fine. So
Well, I feel like I knew he was obviously gonna live.
obviously,
How
well,
you tricked me.
I did trick you. Yeah. Now I got way behind. Hang on. Okay, let's see. If you want to play Stranger Things, okay, right, Harry Potter. Okay, thank you for reminding me about the kids on brooms. I think that's one of the ones I might just get for them. Great, thank you. Spire is great, not for kids though. Okay, tell me a little bit about that, Scott. When you say not for kids, like mature themes, something. Okay. Example for conversation: Tiny Wastelands is sort of Fallout with the serials filled off. Interesting. It uses simplistic Tiny D6 system, which uses keywords like email tags. Okay, interesting. Example for conversion. Okay, I gotcha. Let's see. Your goblins are off to see the wizard. Okay, I'm guessing it was you mean off to see the wizard. Brotherhood of Steel Warrior is strong and okay, and a mutant. I get it. Yeah, okay. That kind of thing. Right. I'm sorry. No, your goblins are off to see the archmage at the capital. Okay, which is basically like the wizard. Yeah. Let's see. A good starter system that has pretty good setting is Pathfinder for Savage World. Unlike most Savage World settings, Pathfinder comes with all the rules in the book. So, Sahari was talking with the chat a little earlier. I have actually just started learning the Savage Worlds system. Gary has been going through it with me today and taught me like the basics of making a character. We haven't gone through running the game yet, but I got like the basics, and I like the system. I found this very interesting. I found the mechanics simple, like they weren't overly complex. I liked the book design. I liked the way you can kind of customize your character class in a very unique way. And I love the hindrances. The hindrance system is probably my favorite part because it starts the player off in a role-playing mindset. And I think that was really good. But after I showed it to my son and Landon today, because, Gary explained the book to me and then I picked them up from school and I was like telling them about it. After we started looking at it, Landon was like, yeah, this looks fun. And both my kid and Landon were interested in making characters and playing the game. I already mentioned that. Yeah, my son wants to make Hulk. Anyways, Landon said it's probably too complicated for his sister. Like it's a little bit too much in the character creation thing. And I think he's right. I think what they need to start with is something where like they get pre-made characters. So in that case, like if Tales from the Loop has like a starter box or something, I might pick that up or try and find that. Otherwise, something. What's that? Yeah, and that's the problem. So like the game system I'm looking for is kind of specific. It has to have like some kind of maybe crunchy combat, but it has to also have like, goblins riding unicorns or something, and it maybe needs to have Harry Potter magic. That's a very tall order as far as I'm concerned. Let me get back to where we were. Archmage in the capital. Okay, starter book. Yeah. So, but okay. What is the difference? What is the difference between the Savage Worlds and the Savage Worlds Pathfinder edition? Like, I don't know the difference between those two. Okay, in Index Card RPG, these tags define attributes. Oh, which you define. It seems arbitrary, but once you define an attribute, it means you decide what it means. I get it. Okay. Thank you for explaining that, Nightbird. That makes sense. So I go through and set up parameters for definitions of attributes and things, and then I apply those things across game systems. I get it. I think I get it at least. Okay. So Tori, you just spent all afternoon playing Knave, spell rolling. Okay, so is the spell rolling system in Knave or is it in Maze Rats? Because I thought it was in Knave, but then I wasn't sure. Okay, so I'm guessing it was in Knave. Yeah, it's totally fun coming up with those spells and just trying to figure out like what does this spell mean. Let's see. Dungeon Craft has great IC. Index Card RPG review. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I will take a look at that. That's all right. Let me see. Let me take a sip. Let's see. It's a fantasy game where the PCs fight with horrors. Basically, it's a prequel to the world. It's a prequel world to Shadowrun. PCs are aware of their class and power levels as they obtain and train for them in the game world. Interesting. So when you say it's a prequel for Shadowrun, does that mean it takes place in the same world with like the trolls? My goodness, the trolls, the elves, the dwarves. I feel like there was more races. Shh, calm down, cat. My cat is so loud. It's the same thing. Basic premise, like kind of futuristic fantasy game. Okay. They obtain and train for them in the game world. Interesting. Okay, so the characters are aware of the fact that they're buying skills and stuff. I mean, it almost sounds like some sort of Running Man thing, like they're in a game show. Or I guess I'm not getting the full premise, but okay, that sounds like a pretty unique system. What's cool about Cairn First Edition is that it's just a few pages total, and Maze Rats was just 4 pages. Okay, yeah, right. So the 4 pages, I'm guessing that's just the rules, because Maze Rats, if I remember, has a lot of tables and stuff. But like, not rules, just a lot of tables. Let's see. Do I have any system recommendations for you? You're asking a total newbie. I have Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I've played. Shadow Dark was like the second game system I played. Previous to Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, I did play 3.5, but I never ran it. And I also played 4th edition with my friend from Thailand. It was mostly just he and I playing. He'd play like 2 characters, and it was pretty sad. Like, I mean, if he enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. It's just we didn't have any friends to play with us at the time. So 3 different versions of Dungeons and Dragons. Shadow Dark. Hang on. Okay, that's pretty much it. Except this last week, I got like 3 new systems. I wouldn't say under my belt, but I got started learning 3 new systems. So I started learning Savage Worlds today, which I like, and I see a lot of unique things here in this game system. Dragonbane, I had a chance to actually get a game running with that. So that's the second other new system this week. And then I had 2 games of Morkborg that I played as a player. I didn't get enough of an understanding of Morkborg, like where I could just go, yeah, I could run this system, but I probably could figure out how to run Morkborg in like an hour or 2. Like if I had the book and an hour of time, I could figure out how to run it. It seemed very simple. So let's see. I guess that's part of the reason why I'm trying to educate myself and learn about all these different systems, is so that I could make a recommendation. It's like the thing I would have to do is first I'd have to grill you, content surprise or content surprise. I would have to say, like, what do you like? Like what video games do you like? And that's probably where I'd start with, like, what video games do you like to play? What TV shows do you like? Because I think my mind either looks for a mechanical similarity or a setting similarity if I can't find a mechanical one. Because as like Scott and I, we might totally differ on what kind of game system we like. At the end of the day, I can be like, hey, blessings, enjoy your game system. And he can do the same for me. But we might totally like different game systems. But maybe we like similar settings, and I think that's where some of the common ground can be found in the tabletop RPG thing. Like I think settings is where people can find commonality. And I feel like systems is where you get a lot of divide, not a lot, but like, some. It doesn't seem to be nearly as much contention in the tabletop role-playing game world as there is in like video games. Like video games is just all vitriol and like curse words in like a sad chat room. All right, let me get back to where I was at. Let's see. Maze Rats is 4 pages. Okay. Let's see. Odd is lots of fae and bizarre magic and items. Okay, that's cool. Do you custom make that stuff, like, or do you go through the magic table and make a lot of random generated stuff and then pop it into your world, or how do you come up with the weird stuff? Because I would probably like to steal your ideas and do that too. Let's see, do I have, oh, I say system recommendation. Let's see, Mouse Ritter and Karen are both derived from Into the Odd. Interesting. Okay, so I think Free League is sending me a copy of Into the Odd so I can get a look at how that game works, which I don't really know anything about, but if Mouse Ritter and Karen are similar to it, that's cool, because I like that system, and I think that system with inventory slots and stuff is I think it's intuitive, especially for kids who play video games. So, excuse me. So is Skateboard Wizards. Okay, I've heard about Skateboard Wizards. I was listening to, was it a podcast? I was listening to someone while I was driving, and they were talking about Skateboard Wizards. It was a while ago, though, so I don't remember what they were talking about. Let's see. Shadowrun is a system that has the setting baked in directly. You can literally buy computer chips and install skills into your brain rather than using your level ups. But it's not for newcomers. I've heard good things about Shadowrun 4th edition, and then I've heard moderate things about Shadowrun 5th edition. And then I heard that Shadowrun 6th edition was like a massive scandal. Like the developer of that game was like embezzling stuff, and like the whole reason they were making the game was just to like steal money. And then in the end, like they just took the money, and I don't know what the end of the story was, but it sounded like the whole thing was kind of corrupt. Let's see. Hi Barkley. Yep, he's a good boy. Shadow Dark's thing is that it doesn't weigh you down with system. You get to add stuff, create stuff, change stuff. It's minimalist and designed to empower the GM. I have had a lot of fun with it. I like the random tables. I like the freedom of the world. I like, I think some of it is over the last few weeks I've been trying to learn how to be a better DM and learn how to run game tables better. And so like when I approached it when I first approached the idea that I might need to learn how to be a dungeon master better, that was like a first good step for me, because I was like, okay, maybe I'm not a good DM. and it took me like a year to come to that conclusion. And it was a good conclusion to come to, because there's a lot of stuff to learn here. And just because there's 6 people who will get together and play a game with me doesn't mean I'm a good dungeon master. And so, and when I first was like, okay, I'm not a good dungeon master, let me try and learn. And then I was like, well, what's this hex-based thing? What's this, open world? What's this situational versus story or whatever, There was a lot to be learned there. And like, now that I have this kind of world with let me get it. Oh, my chair almost fell. Now that I have like this map, there we go. Now that I have this map with like stuff going on, and I have like players, I think they're over here somewhere. There we go. That really helps me with kind of understanding what my players might do or what they might not do, and none of it really, I don't say none of it really matters, but like their choices don't necessarily affect my prep, if that makes sense. I might prep for what I think their choices are as far as where they might go, but like I don't have to be perfecting a dungeon. And in fact, this system, this hex system now allows me to just maybe drop some dungeons into the world, like into the free spaces, depending on what my players need. And I like this so much. This is such a relaxed way to DM. And Shadow Dark has been a great system for that thing. Like I'm sure there's lots of people doing this same type of thing in Dungeons and Dragons, and they're doing a great job of it, and it's like no big deal. I still could not get our table to make a round of combat go quickly in Dungeons and Dragons. Like it just didn't happen. And so it meant that every single time we got into a fight, we were sitting there for so long. And as well, I think I mentioned in the Dragon Maiden video, like I used to actually dread going into a session, like not like dread like I was stressed out, like traumatized or something, but like I was excited because we were going to be playing a game. I was excited to have my players there, but I wasn't like looking forward to the game time. Like it was more stressful and nervous. Like I would never cancel the game, But there were weeks where, like, let's say someone had to miss, and it was like, oh, well, since so-and-so's missing, we could just play Marvel Crisis Protocol. And that was like, oh, like a relief, a total relief. The idea of setting up Marvel Crisis Protocol and playing a tabletop war game instead of playing Dungeons and Dragons was such a calming idea. It was like canceling on plans, like John Mulaney talks about, like, it's really relaxing to cancel plans. It felt like that. It was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness no one's here. It's just gonna be, I don't have to run all this stuff, like, cause like there was monster sheets, and it was like there was so much stuff, and then my players wouldn't even go fight them, and it was like whatever. So anyways, I'm way behind again. Shadow Dark, kids on, okay, so let's see. Empower the GM. Okay, kids on bikes and kids on brooms are quite messy in your opinion. Okay, very loosey goosey. Just your take. The creator did do a nice highlight play session here in Philly that you got to go see, but still didn't like it. Interesting. And I can understand that. There's a few of the loosey goosey type of systems that I've seen where I get the idea. They're more for like narrative play. Like there's less of a game system and more of a setting, and like system is like, he's brushing his teeth. When he does, he's throwing up in the sink, so it's very distracting. Anyways, I've seen systems like that where they do that kind of so loosey goosey that it's hard to explain how it's a game anymore. I understand that. All right, let's see. Okay. I'm so mean. Well, whatever that was related to is probably something I said a long time ago. Thank you, Gary. See, Spire is about a very dark city, dark themes, not quite mature, but not joyful. That's thank you for that, Scott. That's helpful because the little girl in question here is like all unicorns and rainbows all the time, so that would not fit. I wouldn't go so far as to get like the My Little Pony role-playing game, because it would just, no. But there's gonna be some system, I find, like this Goblin one might do it. There's gonna be some, maybe even like the DCC, or what you guys are saying about the index card. Let me find some system that's gonna hit the thing right. All right, let's see. Shadowrun is a spectacular world married to probably one of the worst rule systems ever. 6 editions are out and none have good rule systems, unfortunately, but you love the world. So I used to play the video game Shadowrun, and it was one of my favorite video games. I don't know if any of you ever played it. It was like, I want to say it was on the Xbox 360. I'm thinking it was on the Xbox 360. It was old, but it wasn't like that old. And it was in the online era, and the online era kind of started coming around big time in the 360 days. So I think it was 360 we were playing it on. And it was like this, I don't even know how you'd explain it. It was like, it was kind of like what Overwatch is now, except without as clear of objectives, but you'd have like one team versus another team, right? And you're picking like trolls and elves and humans and dwarves, and there's one other group that I can't remember. I don't know, they're not rats. I think there's one other group, because I think there was 5 races. Anyways, and then you had like different like, and each one did different things. So like the big troll was like throwing down trees that like raised people up or like healed them. And the different weapons that you had like made you move differently. So if you were an elf and you found the sword on the map, you could start doing these dashes. And it was such a cool system. It was a fun mechanic. and then the world went dead. It was like the game just died. And it was one of those games that like my friends, we'd get together, we'd set up like multiple systems in the same house just so we could all play Shadowrun in the same room, because this was like in the period where like no one was doing LAN systems anymore, and so like gaming was dead as far as I was concerned. But like I had like a house with multiple TVs in one room, because I suck. But we'd get the game systems all set up and we'd play the game, and it was the best game for just multiplayer. So much fun. They killed the systems, and it was just like, that sad thing. That's the only experience I've ever had with Shadowrun, was playing the video games. I'm way behind again. Let's see. Shadowrun, okay, love the world. Okay, the reason why you like the tiny D6 system for feeding ICRPG is that even though it uses single D6 as a resolution mechanic, is extremely simplistic as a result. It also uses those keyword attributes. Interesting. Okay, I'm also going to write down the tiny D6 system on this list for Landon. Tiny D6. You know, while I'm at it, I'm gonna think about the easy D6 system. Man, what's that? What's the guy's name who runs the easy D6 system, or who makes it? Because I know he's coming out with a second one sometime soon. I've watched a couple of his videos about easy D6, and he also plays other games as well. But I'm gonna write down easy D6 as well. I think I would like to find something where the setting is I want to find something where the setting is not obscure but unique, I guess. You know, like maybe magically unique. Like I even thought about picking up Wild Sea, like picking up a physical book, just ordering it and giving it to them. Like that might be something. But I'm gonna go back to Wild Sea for a second, because this thing here. Let me go back to my computer screen. All right, so this is Wild Sea. Okay. All right, it's not as dense as Earth Dawn, but you know, Wild Sea has a lot of stuff going on here. So there's a couple. All right, because there's like the ships. Yeah, this would probably be too complex for Landon to try and run with his family and stuff. I'm gonna have to take I'm gonna have to take a look at. Do you know if there's a way to look at the? Oh my goodness. The OSE, the Old School Essentials, like PDF, like do they have a starter, like a free starter PDF you can look at to get an idea of how complex the system is? That would be nice. Let's see. So it saves you time to convert it. Okay, so Pinnacle teamed up with Pazio to convert Pathfinder First Edition into a Savage system. That's so interesting. Okay. Gary, do you have that version in like your library? Because I probably want to scan through it and see what the difference is. My guess is that the Pathfinder First Edition version of Savage Worlds would be more complex, but maybe I'm wrong. That'd be my guess, because from what I understand, people who talk about Pathfinder is that it's a very complex system. So I would go, oh, so it must be complex or dense or crunchy or something. The gameplay loop for Shadowrun isn't that complicated, but you have a DM willing to suffer through reading some of the worst ever organized rule books in the hobby. I'm laughing but crying. That sucks, huh? I guess the thing that's a bummer about that is there's like a big fan following, right? Like there's a lot of people who really enjoy that setting. You know, the future space fantasy things, or future fantasy things. So yeah, that stinks that they won't put a good rule set together. You have the Pathfinder setting. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Golarion is awesome. Don't know what that is. Let's see. Basic Dungeon Craft. Basically Dungeon Craft reviewed Tiny D6, Knave, Index Card RPG. A 20-minute look at any of those and how they play. Interesting. Thank you. Okay, separate card. I'm gonna do it on the back of here. So Dungeon Craft. Vid 4 TD6 ICRPG plus. Okay. All right, let's see. Savage Pathfinder is Pathfinder First Edition adopted to Savage Worlds. They introduce class edges that semi-emulate character classes, and the Pathfinder iconic character is statted out for each class. The Pathfinder iconic character. I guess I don't know what the Pathfinder iconic character is. I've never played Pathfinder or even looked at it. Once people started telling me that Pathfinder was more complex than D&D, I was like, no, I can't. You know. And people weren't even saying it wasn't. People were saying more than it was like more complicated than D&D. They were saying like the combat was also more intense and maybe like took more time or at least took as much time. So it wasn't like you were having complexity in just one area. It was like overall more complex. So I was not interested in that. He also designed BXS5-ish, okay, character sheets for kids. Interesting. I wanted to recommend that video to you, especially the other night. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I assume that's the one you're talking about, the Dungeon Craft video of Tiny D6 and Index Card RPG. That's helpful. Let's see. Gary's saying hello to Sahari, or saying love to Sahari. Dead on correct. Settings unite, systems divide, sad but true. Okay, that seems to be at least the observation that I've made so far. And you know what? That might be why I tend to lean a little more towards the setting, because like I don't actually enjoy getting divisive with people about systems. Like there's going to be systems that just aren't for me, and there's so many reasons why that system is not for me. But the moment someone says like, hey, that system is my favorite system, you know, I notice that thing in me that goes, how dare you? You're probably some kind of idiot. You know, and it's like, it's not even like a judgment thing. It's like, it's that same thing where it's like, you want to be the guy who knows where to get like the good cigars, or you want to be the guy who knows where to get a good discount on a pastrami sandwich or something like that. It's like, I guess it's like just for me, it's obviously like some sort of arrogant male brain thing. But when I notice it, I go like, no, I don't want to play that game. I'm not interested in doing like, you know, my fandom is better than your fandom, you know, because I mean, I did that with like video games for like a long time, and it was you know. So in this one, it's just like, no, I'd rather be interested in settings, because I don't know, who doesn't like aliens, right? Who doesn't like running away from a xenomorph? I still want to play the aliens game. I'm super excited for a chance to play that, because I've already talked with my son now, and I think both Bishop and Landon are interested in trying it. All right, let's see. Yes, the SD tables now, Knave for spells, okay, and cities and settlements. That's right. You keep mentioning the cities and settlements. I have it in my other book, but I'm gonna put it here too. Not for Landon, for me. Cities and settlements. Thank you for the continual reminders to look at these resource books. Cities and settlements. All right, let's see. All right. The only metric for whether you're a good dungeon master is if your players request to play again and continue to show up. People want to set another metric, but there really isn't any other. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. I can't really argue against that. I think for me it's like, let me see if I know how to explain it. Okay, so all right, there's some things I will do, and in my mind I'm like, okay, hey, it's good enough just as it is. Like, I don't need to perfect this. Just realized I haven't actually checked to see if this camera is in focus since I started the stream, and it's possible it's not. But so there are some things that, okay, it's kind of in focus. There's some things that I'm going to be okay at, right? And there's some things I'm going to put more time and effort and trying to get better at. And like, you know, painting miniatures is probably one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm going to be okay at this. And it's not something I really need to spend a lot more time and effort and energy into perfecting. But that's probably because it's like, it's a sort of a solo thing when it matters. But in the game, my opponent doesn't really care if I have a perfect paint job on the miniature that just killed them. Whereas when I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, a weekly game session, and I have 6 people showing up to the game, if I'm approaching that the same way I approach miniature painting, I'm kind of doing 6 other people a disservice by not trying to better my craft, and by not trying to become a better game host. And so, like, after a year of struggling through Dungeons and Dragons, and we jumped systems, and like some of the stuff was still there. Like some of the problems with the game were still there. Like not nearly as many. The system fixed a lot of stuff, but there was also a lot of things like I needed to learn about how to be a DM. And so like once I started posting videos about dungeon mastering and people were like answering the questions, I interacted with all of their answers as though everyone had something to teach me. And it turned out I had a lot of stuff to learn. Like it was like, oh yeah, I didn't know about this thing. Or like I didn't know about any of these systems or modules or cities and settlements or whatever. And so when I'm engaging with people telling me those things, I'm trying to go, yeah, I probably could do this a lot better. I probably could learn a little bit more. And I could approach this as though I'm not an expert for having done this for a year or whatever. All right, let's see. Makes notes to email some videos. I would appreciate that. I assume they're videos about tabletop role-playing games. Yeah, thank you. Gonna have to run for now, though. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much, Nightbird. Appreciate it. Let's see. Running the opposite direction. Let's see. Have you heard of Mutants and Masterminds? It's really clunky, but it's the closest thing you've played to make your own Marvel DC superheroes. Interesting. Mutants and Masterminds. I will look that up. Hold on. I have a whole bunch of notes over here. Factions. I don't know what this is. Spiders, goblins. Oh, that's notes for my game downstairs. I don't know how that got up here. All right, let's write that down. Mutants and Masterminds. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I mean the superhero genre of games, like of tabletop role-playing games, interesting enough, that's like, I wouldn't say it's my least interesting like idea of a game system to run, but I guess it's okay. In my mind, it's so far removed from the game systems I've played, I can't actually conceptualize how I would run it. You know, like, okay, so I have my Red Skull guy, you know, and I'm already like, is it, you know, I think I've just played, I don't know. I've watched too many Marvel movies and played too many like Marvel games, like board games and stuff, that it's hard for me to wrap my head around something about a superhero game where I'm running things. Like I definitely could get into it, I think, but I'd have to make a map of New York and then like make locations and settings and like have villains plotting things and stuff. Like I'd have to get that far into it. But so far, my players have not really shown too much interest in a superhero setting until today when we looked at Savage Worlds. So that's a thank you. That is in a different direction, but yeah, awesome. Gary, pretty much they're releasing Advanced Player's Guide 2 and the Bestiary soonish. APG2 is a mashup of Ultimate Combat Magic and Wilderness. They also have the first 2 APs available. I don't know what APs stand for, but I assume we're still talking about the Savage World or something like that. Maybe the Savage World Pathfinder Edition. Okay. All right, got to get some Z's. Thank you very much for the stream and the great momentum on the channel. Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate you coming in and hanging out and chatting with me. Have a good night. Thanks for telling me about your bike rides. You're inspiring me to try and get out there and get on my bike again. I appreciate that. Anyways, have a good night, Scott. Let's see. All right. Okay. Gary was the green. Let's see. Sahari Savage Pathfinder actually isn't that crunchy. Okay, PEG focused more on the feeling of the setting than the crunch. Pazio created a named character for each of the classes, which is the iconic character. Interesting. Okay. So are the named characters like NPCs, or are the named characters like icons in the world? Like, for example, like in the world of the Pathfinder setting, there's like an Arthur who stands in as like the knight representative or something. Am I on the right track? Like, is it something like that? Or like Hercules or something? Or yeah. Anyways, let me know if that's what you mean. Professor DM Dungeon Craft makes pretty cool videos. I agree. So I like his videos. If I'm getting it correct, that's the guy who makes the Deathbringer RPG, which, you know, that actually might be a game system for me to check out sometime soon as well. So if that's the right guy. I also like the Baron guy who does like the master class. Someone summed up his videos very well. Like when they watch his videos, they feel like they've gotten into a conversation with their attorney, but the topic has gone way off track. And I was like, yep, I can see it. I can see it. He seems like a legal attorney or something like that. Anyways, I like both of those two channels. There's a local publisher who's made a magical girl conversion of 5e that looks pretty good. Investigate monsters and socialize with friends in cities or cities. I'm guessing cities. And friends in cities. So you transform and do semi-crunchy cinematic combat. Huh. And that's like Nimble or something. It's like some sort of game. What is that called? Like a drop down, like a game matrix that changes 5th edition. That's interesting. Sounds lovely. Although I have a feeling he'll be embarrassed to play a magical girl system. Well, I guess it'd be like the same thing. It was like, okay, would I play the My Little Pony system? I'd look at the book, you know. I would at least want to understand how you play the My Little Pony game, I guess. I mean, I'm not interested in playing it. Like, I'm not interested in having a session in My Little Pony, but you know, I wouldn't turn down a look at it, you know. I think I actually enjoy looking at the systems and getting an idea for how they play and compare to each other. Like, I mean, I liked getting an idea of how Dragonbane compared to D&D and how it compared to Shadow Dark, and like trying to place it in a, how hard is it, how easy is it, you know, that type of thing. That was fun. I enjoy all that. Let's see. Next time I'm down at my local game store, I'll get info for you. Sounds like it might be a decent fit. If you can, I mean, if you can find a copy of a PDF or something like that, I would definitely take a look at it. Like, and if it looked like a good fit for Landon's game or something like that, yeah, I would absolutely go for that. Sailor Moon might be pretty manly with the right slant. It is a late night. I was kind of getting on here to get some ideas, which actually I have. Get some ideas about a game to pick up for Landon's birthday, since we got this Dragonbane game in, and you know, it went really well. And his dad, like when Landon came over today, he said his dad had a really fun time and, you know, like wants to play again. You know, like I think the more time had gone on, he got to think about it and he was really enjoying it. So you know, and I think where I'm at right now, like maybe I'll get Landon the starter box for Dragonbane, like one of these, like Tiny D6 or Easy D6 or Kids on Bikes or Kids on Brooms or something. And then maybe something like this, where was it at? The Goblin Errands. I'm on the wrong computer. Goblin Errands over here. Nope, I just passed it. There we go. Need to get another mouse so I can run these two at the same time. Not wide, there we go. So something like this. This might be good to get his sister in playing the game, his sister and mom playing the game. This might be enough of a silly light system to get them started. Maybe even to get like a few games in, and then they might be ready to move to something else. So I think this was the one that was recommended by Nightbird. Let's see. You see me running. I could see running a general superhero style TTRPG. I think running something like The Boys would be really hard to do, though. You got it. That's actually, all right, that is the most superhero inspiration I've had. Like, you mentioned The Boys, like, okay, that would be a cool game. Okay, like a game where you're playing normies, like trying to take down superheroes. Okay, does that exist? That's got to exist somewhere, you know, like where you're having to like outthink these super speedy people or whatever. Like, that sounds like a fun game. Yeah, that would be really hard. Interesting. Anyways, that's the most connected to the idea, because like when I think about like, all right, so this person's gonna make some Captain America knockoff or whatever, and I'm gonna have some electric villain or some villain that's doing a thing in the city and whatever. And it's like, I don't know, there's something, I don't know, it's not like it's stale. I'm having a hard time fleshing out in my mind, or I guess manifesting in my mind, like the actual play or the session or something. Like I can't conceptualize it. And so the superhero one kind of fizzles out. But now that you said this, the boys thing, like, ooh, that sounds really cool. Like that's actually sounds like a fun game to play. Golarion is the planet where Pathfinder's stories happen. Oh, okay, thank you for telling me that. And the setting name. The iconic characters are the canon heroes in the art who represent the classes in the semi-official lore. So, if I understand this correctly, in Pathfinder, there are like non-player characters that are like Sylvana or something from World of Warcraft. And you don't get to play as Sylvana, but Sylvana is awesome and she does stuff in the world, and maybe sometimes you can interact with Sylvana, but largely you're going to be hearing about her epic deeds and you're kind of like this, normal hero or something. Okay. I mean, that sounds video gamey, I guess, if I'm understanding it correctly. I mean, I guess Dungeons and Dragons has that as well. I just never really got into the lore for Dungeons and Dragons, so I could tell there was lore when I was going through the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I think that's the first time I got the name right. When I was going through the Waterdeep Dragon Heist, there was like Volo, whatever his name is. There was a few characters that were like, I could tell they had a history in the world by how the book was presenting them. It was like that thing where the book's like, everyone clap, so-and-so is here, and it's like, all right, yeah. So, but I didn't know any of them. But okay, so I guess it sounds like something that D&D does as well. Let's see. Oddly enough, if I was playing a superhero game, I'd want to build my nemesis before or at the same time as my hero character. Most good superheroes, yeah, that's a good point. It is about the relationship between those two. Interesting. That's a really good point. Okay, so I was talking with Gary about the solo playing thing again today, and like I'm probably gonna try it. Like if I get the starter box from this game from Free League and it's got like the solo thing, I will try it. But that actually is something like solo play is something that comes up like, oh, I might be able to figure out a good story premise in a superhero game by trying like a little one shot by myself to figure out how it plays or what it plays like. I don't know. Even when I say it, like there's something that feels exhausting about the idea of playing a solo game. I don't know how to wrap my head around it. And like, look, I got like plenty of miniatures to paint and stuff. So I have like actual productive things to do. I'm not doing them right now, really, but yeah, you get me. See. Also, you've started unpacking your orc boys. Oh, that's cool. Okay. To get the picture, okay, I'll send over crappy paint jobs tomorrow. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see your paint job. You can send it to me either in Discord or on email, whichever one's easy for you. But yeah, I'd like to take a look at them. And I mean, like, make it massive looking, maybe even some close-ups or something. That'd be awesome. AP is Adventure Path. Okay, thank you. Pazio has phenomenal storytelling. The Iconics are named NPCs they wrote full backstories for. Freya the Witch, Amari the Barbarian, and Valeros the Fighter are examples. Okay. Good presence, in my opinion, is... Please hold on. Good presence, in my opinion, is PC Minis. Okay. I assume you're talking about like presents for Landon or something. PC Minis. Sorry for the half-finished explanation. Oh no, that's okay. I know the chat cut you off or something. It's okay. Positive's Adventure Paths in 1E are full campaigns in 6 installments. Savage Pathfinder currently has Rise of the Rune Lords and Curse of the Crimson Throne. Savage Pathfinder currently has... Okay, so those are campaigns. Interesting. 6 installments. Okay. Kind of like comic books or something, huh? Released in like different installments. So are those currently ongoing, or are those... I mean, because I know Pathfinder's been around since like... Oh, player character miniatures for Landon. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. And I think, giving him like a Dragonbane setting book, like... or giving him the Dragonbane starter box might set him up with that. And he doesn't seem to indicate to me that he's interested in like painting miniatures, although he might be. I could be wrong. So, hang on a second. Where was he? Okay, so Pazio. Okay, so yeah, it sounds like they're releasing those books installments, but then like because that sounds like that sounds like how comic books used to do it. Like when you wanted to get one of the graphic novels or whatever, like you know, first they'd have like a comic release and then they'd bind them all together into a larger book. So like, do they do that? Is that a current thing going on, or is Savage Pathfinder an older thing? You know, since I don't know much about the history of Pathfinder or Savage Pathfinder, I'm not sure if that's a current ongoing thing or not. Normie's taking down superheroes. The Boys was a fun streaming series. I watched the first season of The Boys and maybe a little bit of the second season. I don't remember why I stopped watching it. I don't think there was anything particular I disliked about the series. Yeah, I don't know. I think for whatever it was, maybe it was just too long between season 1 and season 2 that I lost interest or something. And I just never went back to it. Let's see. I remember a game that Marissa Ray ran, a game called Trash Panda or something. Was it the Raccoon Sky Pirates? So I own Raccoon Sky Pirates. I picked it up because it's silly. As you're mentioning it now, yeah, that actually might be a game that Landon's sister would get into. I don't know if their family would get into it as much, but and that's the problem is like, you know, trying to find a game system for a whole family to get into. You know, that could be tough. Like if I had to find a game system that my whole family could do, like Riker is such an outlier, it'd be so, I mean, it has been so difficult, you know? Yeah, I think if the Trash Panda one, that brings up the idea of the Raccoon Sky Pirates, which is kind of a simple system. See, I could also see a slapstick style TTRPG based off those parody comics from the 90s, like Dark Claw. I didn't ever see Dark Claw, but yeah, I suppose like parody comics of things where the comic doesn't take itself too seriously and it's sort of self-referential or whatever. That would probably even be a fun system for players to play in, because like their puns could, like whatever puns or silly things that they were doing, they could be playing out in real time, like their characters be saying it in the world. Let's see. All the pre-generated characters for Pathfinder are actually the iconics, so you don't get to play them. Okay, less named World of Warcraft NPCs, more of stand-ins for the players. I see. Okay, I do not mind you dumping this Pathfinder lore. This is so yeah. I mean, like generally when I come to like the comments or the chat, like I end up learning so much random stuff. It's so helpful because like I don't know that I'd ever go looking up Pathfinder stuff, but I don't not want to know it. You know, I'm not intentionally avoiding Pathfinder lore. Let's see. Player character miniatures. Okay, you already got that. Okay. More like an adventure series that tells a cohesive story. PG is currently converting the Pathfinder 1E APs and have said that they're going to convert Carrion Crown next. Okay. And Pazio is still producing new APs for 2E. It's Crash Pandas. Interesting, okay. Raccoons working together to drive a car in a high-speed race. That's a cool idea. Huh. All right, I'm going to look that one up too. Crash Pandas, thank you. Have you played the Crash Pandas game? Or seen it played? We got Riker playing the Raccoon Sky Pirates game in a LARPing form. Like we haven't been able to get him to play any game sitting at the table. Even the Heroescape game, which I am still painting miniatures for, it's still hard to get him. I think actually think my wife was more successful than I was today. She actually did a pretty good job getting him to try and focus on the game. And so the idea I've had now is like, okay, instead of trying to get him to play a miniature game where he's got like 3 or 4 characters, instead I'm just going to give him 1 character, and I'm going to try and figure a way to like make it like Slay the Spire or something. So when he fights and he beats an enemy or something, he gets to go forward and maybe he gets to add a new character. And so he gets 2 characters and he goes with 2 characters for a while. And maybe that's all I'll do. Like I might just start with that for now. But trying to get him to move characters around, he just has no agency to play a board game. It's so difficult. Let's see, Marissa, Google it. It's free. All right, that sounds great. Free is awesome. All right, let's get a new page. Let's see, Crash Pandas. All right, Crash Pandas. Drive through. Crash Pandas. Oh, I see. It has like the support a creator by paying. Okay, all right. Let me get it on my iPad because my account's not there. You like jokes? I do like jokes. Sure, what you got? Marissa Ray ran it. Gary mentioned it, and I remember watching it. Okay. Sorry. I think Marissa ran Honey Heist. Crash Pandas was Sam Riegel. Is the Honey Heist the Mouse Ritter? The Mouse Ritter module? Crash Pandas. Let's take, do they have a take a look? They don't have the take a look. All right. See all titles. Who's there? What's my opinion on tiny and giant races? Oh, okay. So at first I was like, that was dumb. At first I was like, you mean like small tracks or big tracks? Okay, races as in characters. I think that tiny and giant races generally work out to be gimmicky in the games. Like you end up having, okay, the tiny characters can move like 5 feet less, and maybe they can pass through an enemy square, and they get some other like ability or something. But largely, it doesn't make much mechanical difference from the regular game. I eat mop who. Well done. Good job. Good job. I was wondering what it was going to make me say. I eat my poo. Good job. Yeah, so I've seen several different game systems that do like the big characters as well. And then the big characters, like I don't ever really see a version of the big character where it's like, okay, he can pick up a normal sized human and just like squeeze him into jelly or something, you know, like so it's always like this thing where like, okay, well, if we make a big character, there's a good chance we make it overpowered, and if we make a tiny character, there's a worry that we make it useless, you know, like it's a hobbit or something. And I don't know, I think games need to lean into both of those potentials, you know, and that's actually, you know, bringing that up, that's kind of why I liked the Savage World system. I really thought the hindrance system was a good way to add not just narrative deficits, but maybe character deficits, because there were some where it's like, okay, your character can't read or talk or something like that's a thing that fundamentally changes the way the character can operate and interact in the world, and the different levels of interaction that character has can be like wildly altered or stifled by that. So maybe there's some way that the giant and tiny races could be offset in like in more than just a slightly mechanical. It's not that the implementation is incoherent. It's that it's incomplete to some degree. So I don't think I've seen a system where I've been impressed with the tiny or giant races. Honey Heist are bears stealing honey. Okay, it's a one-pager TTRPG summon to Crash Pandas. I'm going to check that one out. Oh yeah, I got Crash Pandas here. Let me add that to my cart. Add to cart. And then Honey, what's it called? Honey Heist. Okay. Oops. Honey Heist. All right, thank you. Thank you for the recommendations. I have finally caught up with the chat. No, you agree. You wanted to see what everyone was thinking on that. Okay. Well, chat, if there's any other opinions in here, what do you think of tiny and giant races? I don't know, I guess, AJ, have you ever seen a game system where some kind of size modifier altered the game in a way more than just aesthetically or relative aesthetically? Like, you know, moving 5 feet less is relative aesthetics. And the same thing with a lot of the things that they give big characters. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen some video games that did. Have I ever seen a video game that did interesting things? I think most of the video games I've seen that did tiny and large characters were games like Final Fantasy, whatever the online one was, 14 or something. And they didn't really do that much interesting stuff. Like World of Warcraft, it didn't really matter if you were a gnome or a tauren. Like, no, it didn't matter at all. There was no difference between a gnome and a tauren in the size-wise. So, yeah, I don't know if I've seen video games that do it well. I definitely haven't seen any tabletop role-playing games that do it well. I'm going to pop back over to Wild Sea for a moment. I wanted to look at the character classes. 11 and 14. Okay. I know that AJ used to play World of Warcraft. If any of you guys played MMORPGs like in the past, maybe aside from World of Warcraft, I played Guild Wars 2 for a little while. Just never stuck. And I played Elder Scrolls Online for a little while, and I think by the time I was playing that, I was already bored of World of Warcraft. Savage Worlds re-released Rifts, which is a game setting where giants really can crush humans in a single hit. The massive imbalances are part of the game. Wow. Okay, so that's Rifts. People keep recommending Rifts to me, and that is a game system I need to check out. Let's see what Rifts looks like. Is this Rifts? Palladium Books? This does not. No, it's not. Wait. Oh, okay. Here we go. Rifts Source Book First Edition. Which version of the game? Let's look at the Source Book First Edition. Warning, this fictional world is quite violent. It's an exotic realm where magic is real as technology and demonic creatures plague humankind. Some parents may find the violence and supernatural elements of the game inappropriate for young readers. We suggest parental discretion. Oh yeah, that guy. Well, that's a robot though. That robot died. All right, it'll be okay. This looks like an older book. Oh, 1991, 90, 88, 86. Okay, so this is an older system. Okay, third printing, 1992. Okay, so this is some of the stuff. So I guess the question would be, is this the system you're talking about? Am I on the right one right now? Black Market, Robots Repairs, Scalebot Soldier Squads. Okay, so here we're looking at squads. This gives me the idea that maybe you can play as multiple characters in the game. Oh, there's a vampire. Let me catch back up again. Let's see. Okay, 11 and 14. I've seen a few. Okay, that's the game. Seen a few. The game you're involved with leans heavy into size differences. It's good. All right, so AJ, we'll have to have a conversation about that. I'd be interested to hear your ideas on that. I don't think I am registered to vote. Thank you for asking, though. I'm trying to think of the last time I voted. It might have been for Bill Clinton or something, or when Bill Clinton ran. I don't know. Back when MTV was a thing, I used to watch it when I was like 16, and Tabitha Soren came on the television and told everyone to vote, right? And I didn't really fully understand it at the time, but when Tabitha Soren, and I think it was Carson Daly as well, like, make sure you go out and vote. When they did that, it completely deauthorized the potential of voting for me. Like, I saw them say, hey, you should go out and vote. And I'm like, you're telling people who've been sitting around their house during the daytime watching, like, I don't know, The Real World or something, whatever that bump and grind show was, like, you know, the music, they're just doing music raves in the middle of the day and like music videos and stuff. And like, you're telling me to go choose who becomes the president? Oh, that's not real. You know, like, and it never got out of my head. Like, it stayed as one of those things where I'm like, I don't believe that voting is a real thing. I know it's like a conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat thing. I can't make myself take it seriously. And, you know, I also live in California, so it's not like whatever I wanted to vote for or didn't want to vote for would matter. So I'm like, I'm not planning on voting. So no, I'm not registered, and I'm probably not going to bother. You played both Final Fantasy 11 and 14, ESO, Black Desert Online, Guild Wars 1 and 2, and quite a few more. I never played Final Fantasy, but I did see people play it, and people who enjoyed it. I played ESO. I also played Black Desert Online, just a little bit. I kind of like the system, but I never really got that far into it. It was a little complex, and I think there was a little bit too much store for my taste. Yeah, I've always been susceptible to games with stores. It was originally Palladium. Palladium is a terrible system. Interesting, okay. Oh, that's right, because you said they just re-released it. Let me go back to your comment. You said, nope, where was it? Savage Worlds re-released Rifts. Oh, okay, which is, all right, hang on. So, I'm on the wrong one. No, here we go. Close this. So I'd be looking for Savage World Rifts or something. Let's see. Okay. Maybe I have to check on Savage World's website. Okay. Let's see. We've seen a few. Yeah, okay, they gave me. Okay, all right. Back to registering to vote. Originally Palladium. Palladium is a terrible system. Okay, MMOs. You've played Final Fantasy 14. Ragnarok Online. I totally forgot about Ragnarok Online. What was Ragnarok Online? That sounds familiar, but I don't remember it. New World. My friend got New World. What did you think of New World? I asked that because, like, I played it just a little bit on my friend's PC, and it felt a little broken, I guess. Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I would probably count Path of Exile. I mean, it's a little more Diablo, but it's like Diablo with, I think, better multiplayer. Y'all can vote for whoever you see, but okay, voting is important. Okay, don't vote independent. Make your stance. I totally respect that. Yeah, people should vote or whatever. If they believe in voting. I don't think I believe in voting, but thank you. Savage World Rifts greater than Palladium Rifts. Okay, gotcha. Palladium Rifts is absolutely massive, and not for those who don't have a glut of time to learn the setting, since literally everything Palladium makes is in Rifts. Gotcha. Okay. Dabbled in Lord of the Rings online back in 2011, and a little bit of Path of Exile with my brother last year. Not quite for me. I'd rather play the whole game once. Don't mind my TTRPG library. So okay, so tell it. Yeah, so I played the Lord of the Rings game just a little bit. I was working at the Universal Studios GameStop store when it came out, and the company who was making Lord of the Rings had like their developers out there, so we had like a launch event for their game. And previously we'd had like a World of Warcraft launch event, and the developers were like signing boxes and stuff like that. And it was really sad because the World of Warcraft launch event was like such a big deal. You know, people were like, I think it was for Burning Crusade or something, and people were getting all stoked about it. But then when the Lord of the Rings one came out, like just it was so small. The developers were there, like they were kind of sad, you know, because like people weren't as excited about their game. Yeah, so I think that was like the period in time where like more people were doing World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft was kind of centered on things. Voting is real and it matters. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. Lord of the Rings was an amazing narrative game, still is, to be honest. I assume we are talking about the Lord of the Rings online game. Local voting, definitely. We're a family of teachers, so we definitely vote for local reps who support infrastructure legislation. You know, the local voting thing, I think I can get behind a bit more. Like, all right, it seems real, I guess. As I explained the Tabitha Soren thing, so I'm not going to keep going on about it. Let's see. Ticking Time Bomb says Pendragon. I've had people recommending Pendragon to me, and it is on my other list of things. I have not had a chance to look at it, and now I'm trying to remember what it was someone was recommending about Pendragon. It was related to another system. Oh, it was Aaron. Aaron the Relentless was talking about Pendragon when he was comparing it to something. I think it's out of my head now. Anyways, it's on my list. Ragnarok Online is a Korean-based MMO. It's not what it used to be, but the sprites were cool and the mechanics were fun. It had a merchant class. I'm sure if you saw a picture, you'd probably recognize it. Yeah, I probably would. I've seen a lot of. Let's see. Ragnarok. I'm probably spelling that wrong. I'm gonna steal your spelling if I can find it. Let's see. Nope, I did spell it wrong with a K. Ragnarok. I spelled it way wrong. Ragnarok Online. Ragnarok Online, free to play Morpeg. No, I don't think I have seen this. It looks like, does it look like this? Like with these, like it looks like an anime? I don't think I've ever seen an anime game like this. No, I mean, I saw, Genshin Impact or something. Was it Genshin Impact? There was some kind of game that came out on PlayStation 5. I don't think I remember the name of it, but it was like an anime type game. But I think I played it a little bit. I don't think I ever played that game though. Let's see. Ragnarok Online, Korean-based MMORPG, okay. Merchant class, all right. I'm guessing, see. There's a really good story-wise. So SWTOR, that's Star Wars The Old Republic. Yes, I never played Star Wars The Old Republic. I was totally a Star Wars fan, but I just never got into it. And then at some point I got into World of Warcraft, and it was like, look, I don't have time for more of these Morpegs. King Arthur Pendragon is super fun. You can actually cut out the chaste, lustful traits and make them a bit more family friendly. The Great Pendragon campaign is like 80 in-game years of play. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, let me find my list of that one. Where was my other list? Oh, that's right. I opened it on here. Let me check my notes list then. There we go. Heroes of Cerulean, Warhammer Fantasy. That's right. Pendragon was down towards the bottom. I haven't gone in. Actually, there we go. Pendragon. All right, so I have it says it is adjacent to Call of Cthulhu, except you're playing knights in the time of Arthur with chivalry. Is that close to correct? I mean, these are just brief summaries that I'm trying to get down of the games to give myself a cursory understanding of the different systems. And I think I have like 50 or 100 systems that I'm trying to take a look at. Let's see. Lord of the Rings did indeed have a great story. As for New World, you got oh my goodness. You got 291 hours out of it. Wow. Okay, well, you showed them. You absolutely showed them. You gave Amazon a run for their money. That is a lot of time. Did you enjoy the game? Like, did you have fun with it? And if you did, it's like, okay, who cares? It was broken if you had fun with it. Mostly love the weapon leveling system. You're a sucker for making a player home look nice. Yeah, my friend Steven's friend plays Elder Scrolls Online, and he's like super, I don't want to say nutty or whatever, but he's very obsessive about like organizing all of his stuff and like putting candles on the tables and, you know, making like wine racks lined up and stuff. And so then he goes into these houses and he likes them being clean and stuff. Like it's a big thing. And I don't think I've ever been into that, especially if the mechanic of the game didn't involve it, but I get it. It's like it's like organizing trading cards or something. I like those type of things too. Rifts was to compete with Torg back in the day. I don't know what Torg is. Also much harder to catch. All right, let's take a look at some of these wild sea things. So I know very little about this wild sea system, but the premise is interesting to me. And the person who's showed up in my comments quite often talking about it talks a lot about the way the magic works. And I guess they're called whispers. There we go. Savage Specimens whispers. I think I'm going to go right to the whispers to get an idea of what that is. There we go, whispers. Whispers are wild secrets that leap from mind to mind, parasitic words with a will of their own. They can be a single word or short phrase, but they can only exist in one mind at a time. When spoken, a whisper is lost. Whispers often worm their way into your head as you witness the horrors and wonders of the wild sea, or they can be traded for the weirder bazaars. But a canny wild sailor might seek them out in other stranger ways. You can whisper to discover secret information, twist the narrative of the world in your favor, or force change. Okay. So it's kind of like magic. I guess, yeah, okay, so, all right, I may have jumped way too far ahead because I do not know how this system here works into the game. No, I don't want to add a comment. I changed my mind. Has anyone played this system, the Wild Sea system? There's a guy in my comments who talks about it all the time and is very positive about it. It's like his favorite game, or one of his favorite games, and he's talked about it so much that it makes it sound very interesting. You know, I like the idea of the races and stuff, like the characters, but the system seems complex. At least complex by comparison to some of the systems I've been looking at recently. Well, let me take a look at the characters, I guess. Let's see. Core concepts, no. Rustling waves, spirituality, the mechanics. We'll see the wild words engine. Character sheet, crew member structure, focus, hooks, tracks, actions. Okay, so let's go to mechanics. All right, let's start kind of at the beginning. All right, so Wild Words engine. The The framework of rules for Wild Seed is provided by the Wild Words engine. It's low on crunch, focused instead on letting narrative, character, and setting develop during play, but there are a few important rules. That's what this chapter is for. As a player, almost everything you need to know before setting down to play can be found here. Before you play, you're also going to need a couple of things at your table. A firefly, okay, I guess that's a GM, set of dice, a character sheet, a crew sheet, okay, and I have those different character sheets and crew sheets, okay. All right, so here's an example of the character sheet. All right, so a few things, okay, so we have 11 different areas, okay, so let's see. A quick reference, okay, so this is like a how to play section. Background, okay, this is my character's information. Edges, general areas in which the character excels. When you take actions that line up with one of your edges, you gain an extra d6 on your roll. Okay, and the edges are over here. So I see there's grace, sharps, veils, iron, something, and then instinct and tides, okay? Skills are more specific areas a character excels in. Skills are ranked from 1 to 3 to give dice in relevant situations. Okay, so, oh, I see. So if I'm trained up in a skill, I might get as many as 3 dice to roll for that skill. Okay, so brace, break, conduct, cook, delve, flourish, scavenge, rattle, outwit, hunt, something, something. Okay, and then does it say water walk? I can't tell what that says. Vault, tend, sway, study, sense. Okay, there's like 12 or 15, no, 16. What is that? 6 and 6. That's 18 different skills. Okay, languages. Characters can speak. Oh, okay. So this was the game that had the really interesting thing with languages. Okay, so he mentioned. Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks for hanging out. Good night. Let's see if you're interested. If you are a fan of Arthurian legends, this game lets you step directly into the mythic world, from jousting tournaments to battling mythical creatures. You do a ton of streamed based Pendragon. If you ever want me to run you through something, feel free to hit me up. We can collab. That would be awesome. Hang on, let me move this over real quick. Go to YouTube. Let me look up your channel real quick. No, I'm not going to sleep right now. You can close that. Let's see, ticking time Bob. Okay. Nope. Ticking time Bob. Ticking time Bob Gaming. There you are. I see. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, you got a bunch of streams on this thing. Yeah, I'm going to stick this. I'm going to find one of these ones where you're playing. I'm going to stick it in my watched recently so that I remember to go back. Hopefully I'll remember. I'm just going to grab this recent one. There we go. And now it'll be in my watched recently, and hopefully that'll help me remember to watch it. Yeah, I'd be interested in, I mean, someone was recommending it to me the other day in the comments. It was probably the day that I was going through and trying to make this massive list of all the different games that I'm looking at. Anyways, we got talking a little bit about it, but not enough that I got an idea of how it's played. So yeah, if you are interested in running sometime, yeah, I'll send you a message here. And then, like, I don't know, if you want to email me or something, we can find each other on Discord. Do you have a Discord server? Here, hold on. I promised myself I'm going to get my other mouse out here. It's going to make things so much easier. Let me go back to there you go, front page, links. You got lots of links here. Campaigns, there's a Discord server. And there we go, accept invite, okay. That's okay, you can open it. Let's see. There it is. All right, cool. I'll go through that and message you there. Do you run, if you run games on your Discord, then yeah, that'd be that'd be easy because I've already started doing that. I got a chance to play Morkborg Pirates this week, and that was fun. And so yeah, if you'd be interested in teaching me the game, I know nothing about it, so you're gonna have to take me through it. if that's doable, that'd be fun. So thank you, I appreciate the offer. What was I doing just a minute ago? All right. Do you play? What other games do you play? Do you play like, is it just the Pendragon game, or are there other game systems that you and your group of friends play together? All right, aspects. There are a few traits, gear pieces, companions that make you unique, far more permanent than resources. Okay. Resources, milestones, drives, mires. A character's mires are the vices and curses that drag them down. The effects of these are mostly roleplay based, okay? Temporary tracks. Interesting. And it looks like the whole thing uses like this points system or points buy system. Crew sheets. I guess the crew sheets are different than the character sheets, so I don't know. A sheet shared by everyone at the table with information on your ship, undercrew, passengers, cargo, and the way various factions see you. Okay. Mothership RPG is another game I like that is different from the other suggestions. It's sci-fi horror. Character creation is fast. Really like the sanity panic mechanic in that game. So I've been wanting to pick up Mothership for a little while, but the local game store that I go to has not had it in. I'm pretty sure I can pick it up like online, or maybe I can pick it up online. But again, since I've had so many systems to look at recently, like I haven't been like in a rush. So, but it is one that I'm looking for, and I think I saw a couple videos of people playing Mothership and talking about Mothership. It sounded very interesting. So yeah. So when you say it was easy to run, let's see, did you say it was easy to run? Character creation was fast, and you really like the sanity panic mechanics. Okay, so is it easy to run? Like, is it a solo play game? Is it a multiplayer game? You know, if you can tell me a little bit about it, I'd appreciate hearing. Pretty into all sorts of TTRPGs, but Pendragon has become a bit of a focus since you started streaming RPGs during the pandemic. Interesting. Do you do videos like talking about how to play this system, or like the mechanics of the system? Because I suppose if you have any of those videos on your channel, like if you have videos explaining how it works, or you know, going through like the different mechanics, I'd watch that, and that might save us some time before we get to playing a session, so you don't have to like waste your time telling me something that's already in one of your videos. So like, yeah, if you have a video on your channel that explains it, I would watch that. Let's see. So there's a difference between the crew and the character sheet. Character sheets for your character, and the crew shared by everyone at the table with information on your ship. Okay, so this is a sheet that everyone at the table has that's the same. Okay, it's got your cargo, your passengers, and the way to various factions. Okay, so your airship is like a big part of your game. Like you start the game off with your airship. Interesting. Design, conditions, undercrew. All right. Structure. All right, the conversation and play. I always like these I like these in the books, the conversation and play, like where they do like this, how our game runs and stuff. Because this generally gives me an idea of what the developers think a game session is going to be like, or what they think a game session should be like. You know, I mean, obviously there's a chance that like these things are being designed by someone who doesn't know the game as well, but generally I get the sense that that a lot of these that I've read, the developers are going, we think this is how our game should manifest itself on the table. I realize I'm actually not on the. There we go. Talking about this conversation and play here. So I like when the game systems have these things. Let's see. Mothership RPG is just another TTRPG with a GM running the game for players. Okay. It's got skill checks and combat rolls. There's nothing particularly unique about those. Okay. So I'm guessing it's like the setting and like the horror mechanics of the sci-fi that make it. All right, so the conversation to play. The Firefly says, you're passing under a crooked, tall shank. When there's a long, grinding crunch from somewhere below, the ship lurches awkwardly to a halt. The engines are running, but the leading edge is still. An eerie silence descends. Todd says, this tail shank we're under. Any signs of habitation? Firefly, no, not that you can see, though you have to head up to the branches to make sure. Killian, not good. I'm going to head over to the prow and take a look over the side to see if I can make out anything through the leaves that we might run up against. And someone kill the damn engine, we're wasting fuel. Freya, I'm on that. I was tinkering with some salvage on deck when we stopped, which is probably scattered all over the place now. I'll leave the I'll quote, sigh, leave the cleanup for later and sprint towards the engine block. I see. Okay, Firefly. Okay, Freya, you turn the engine off without any trouble. Killian, you can't see anything through the leaves. If you want to know what stopped you, you're going to have to head down there for a closer look. Killian, count me out of that one. That's not really my scene. I am, however, going to head down to the front cargo space and check the interior to make sure we haven't got any serious damage. I'll grab Laura on the way. She's more climby type. Laura, fancy a quick trip into the tangle. Yeah, the sanity mechanic and general setting is what makes it unique. We do appreciate games with a quick character creation, though. I think I like that about Shadow Dark as well. Shadow Dark's character creation has now spoiled me to other games' character creations. And like any game that you can make a character in 2 or 3 minutes, I kind of like that now. I mean, I even like the Morkborg system I played earlier this week, where you just hit one button on their website and boom, there's a character. It wasn't like fun to make it, but it was interesting that they had this random generation thing that made the game. It made it so you could just take off on the game quickly. I just realized that is not a dog. It looks like it used to be a dog. That creature is horrific looking. Content Surprise, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm actually getting ready to go to bed myself. I realize it's 1:30 right now. I have a relatively early morning tomorrow, heading out to the beach with some friends, and then I get to play Shadow Dark for our 8th session. So I will continue learning about this system and others later. Thank you so much for hanging out on stream with me, and it's actually my bedtime too. So binging Blowfish and Ticking Time Bob, if you guys are still here, thanks so much for hanging out. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the offer to teach me how to play the Pendragon system. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So I will I'll message you in your Discord and nag you. Maybe we can try to do something like on Tuesday or Thursday morning. I'm in California time, and usually Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, like weekdays in the morning time, like 9 to noon, are great time. And I've been having the ability to learn games during that time period. So yeah, if we can make it work, that'd be awesome. Thank you, AJ. Thanks for hanging out. I look forward to taking a look at your pictures of your massive army. So yeah, make it impressive. And I'll message you in Discord. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that big small character thing, because I'm interested to hear what you might be doing. That's cool. All right, yeah, I'm gonna jump off for now. Let's see, Jennifer. Okay, have a good night. God bless you. I will possibly release a video tomorrow before Shadow Dark, but probably just one after the game for our usual wrap up. Are you still awake? What are you doing up? What are you doing?
Guess.
Oh, he's still awake. I don't know. I thought you were asleep for sure.
No.
What you just been playing Slay the Spire?
Yeah.
Did you have a good run?
I have a pretty crazy run going.
So you could just I could talk and you could just play on here. You know that, right?
I guess I could.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You're stupid. I could probably even get your iPhone up on here with a streaming thing. Anyways, okay. All right. Thanks, AJ. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.